Teachers Day, also known as International Teachers Day, is today, October 5th, and we are so happy and we get to celebrate our teachers because they've been doing amazing jobs. I can say for a fact that the reason why you are seeing me on the screen today is because I had great teachers. I had teachers that helped me, formed me and shaped me to be who I am today. My name is Modupe Jacobs, and you're welcome to Tea or Coffee.
Definitely, Modupe is right that teachers are a part of your life. You cannot tell your history or your story without mentioning a teacher in your life. For every knowledge or information you have now, a teacher must have contributed it. And most of us spend time with our teachers, even more than your parents. Imagine going to school, you have to stay in school from 8 till 5 p.m. And your teachers are quite important. Even till tomorrow, we still have people that, keep informing and teaching people around them. Now, these teachers, they do not just do it because of the amounts they would have to earn, but definitely passion is inclusive. Yes, my name is Wuraola Popola. Welcome to Tea or Coffee on High Impact TV. Good morning, darling.
Good morning.
How you
Now
doing?
that was more like a speech, and I should applaud you for that.
No, definitely they deserve it. If we're going to talk about teachers, in fact, I don't think a day is enough to talk about teachers. They are more like, aside the biological parents, I feel that they also contribute the role of parents in life.
Yes, because like you likely said the other time we're having a discussion that children spend more time with teachers than they even do with their biological parents. Yes, so you were right.
Yes, and it's not just about knowing mathematics or biology. I'm sure some moral arts or characters you've imbibed or you have now, you probably picked some of them from teachers. Someone like me now, I've been able to discipline myself when it comes to some certain things, like my reading habits and all. Now that has been the role of my teacher.
Teachers.
I have a particular teacher that was able to let me know that, you can't just be playing all through. There are times you need to stand your ground and discipline yourself that this is what I should do, this is what I should not do. And it actually takes me back and reminds me of when I was approaching NYSC.
Okay, that's the Youth Service Corps.
Yeah, National Youth Service Corps. As I was approaching, I was like, all this on that. Because for Nigeria, most of the youth get scared that teaching in schools. I hear my friends say, I'll just be beating all of them. And I'm like, okay, when you were in school, was that how your teachers were just beating? Like, I don't think I can teach. Having to make someone understand something.
And it's amazing that when you start, teaching, you understand how your teachers felt back then.
Definitely.
And I feel that the National Youth Service Corps, they're doing a great thing, by allowing most people, go to schools and then teach in terms of the national serving, doing the Youth Service Corps. And you get to impact to people, to children. You tend to help them because we're talking about the fact that being a teacher doesn't mean you should be all about pouring your knowledge, what you know, or wanting the child subject into the child or the student. You have to be able to come from understanding their emotional views, understanding how they feel, and knowing the best time you can actually impact knowledge into them and impact their lives, not only in terms of the subjects you're teaching, but also morals, like you said, values and the likes. So I think the National Youth Service was actually a great thing. I didn't get to teach, by the way, but I was opportune, but I was opportune to do something that actually had to do with impacting my community, impacting people, around me, and I had an awesome time, trust me. It was amazing.
At some point, my CDS group, if you are not going to contribute, like if you know that you are not part of the committee, you are told to pay certain amounts, to at least contribute and do something. And then it reminds me of a friend of mine. She was part of people that kept on saying, I can't teach, I would find it difficult to teach and all of that. So, and guess what? She studied chemical engineering in school. and now she's the principal of a school that she didn't want to teach.
Wow.
You know, during the NYC, when they posted her to, and I realized that for NYC, they tend to post a lot of people to rural communities. So she was posted to a rural community also, and getting there, she discovered the passion of teaching and helping people. It was something she enjoyed, and then she derived joy doing. And then at the end of it, she decided to stay back. And then today she's the
now
principal
linking,
of the school.
you know, having to impact your community to the topic that we have for today. Today's topic, by the way, is youth participation in community development. And that's one thing that I know for a fact that the National Youth Service Corps is driving. You know, as youths, we should be able to impact,
Yes,
you know,
definitely.
our community, people around us. And talking about impacting the community, it starts from the person next to you.
Definitely.
It starts from the person, your neighbor. It starts from the person on the road that needs your help, you know. So youth have to realize that they are a force in the society, and you'll be amazed at the amazing ideas, amazing things that youth of nowadays can come up with, still in the spirit of independence, you know, and taking a cue from what our guest on October 1st said, and, you know, talking about how the youth in Nigeria are doing amazing things and how he is proud of us. I should say us because I'm a youth, proud youth of Nigeria.
No doubt
know.
about that. Looking at you, I mean,
Are you not a youth also?
of course. Hello, I am a youth, proud one at that.
Okay, you know, that's on the lighter notes though. But basically, we are so gifted. We have so many amazing ideas, and the earlier we tap into it, the better, because it's also part of rebranding Nigeria.
Of
as
course,
we were saying.
I actually agree with you. It starts from the little things you can do around you, you know, helping someone that probably does not have food, and then you have enough, helping such person. Little things you can do. You find some people even gathering students. Rather than watch those children play around the streets and not do anything, you gather them and, you know, impact your own knowledge. You got your own knowledge from somewhere too. So it would be thoughtful and good of you to also impact lives and all. And, you know, today's topic is actually quite important because definitely our guest is also young. And,
Exactly.
you know, having young people impact young lives, I mean, it's quite amazing.
Very amazing. And, you know, talking about, now let's focus on community development, you know, as, should I say, as a topic, part of what we're talking about today. I know for a fact that during NYSC, most people tend to come up with projects. You know, that's Community Development Service, CDS, that we have. It's part of the NYSC scheme. And we tend to, they advise us to come up with a project. There was one that I actually went to cover while, you know, doing my NYSC, and she built an e-library for a particular school because apparently they had never seen even a computer before. You know, and then she noticed that, okay, in this 21st century, how come you do not even know what a computer looks like? You don't even know what a computer is. You've not heard of the name before. So she came up with an e-library, and then the government actually helped her, sponsored, you know, the building, put in place, you know, the laptops, the PC, personal computers, and everything for them. And that's part of community development.
Definitely.
Because even people outside the school, you know, in that community that I've not also heard of, you know, what, you know, an e-library is. They can just come and say, okay, what is it? See it, get to know about it, get to know how to operate it, and then they are developed. They're getting developed one after the other. It's starting from the school, spreading to the outside community, and, you know, everyone gets to get developed. Everyone gets to understand how, you know, outside of their community is, so that when they actually go out of their community, they are not lost.
You know, I like the fact that you mentioned that it's not all about giving out money or having to spend your money. It could be an idea you could come up with, and then you have people around that would help support the idea. She had the idea, definitely. She probably didn't have the financial capacity to implement the idea, but then she was able to talk to the government, and then they helped. So you could start with your little idea or things you have in mind that could help change your environment and community. Remember that change is not only from the government, but it starts with you. And little things like this would, you know, encourage change in Nigeria and make a better Nigeria. All right, so we have to go on a short break. When we come back, You will still be tuned to Tea or Coffee on High Impact Television. Do stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Experience the excitement at High Impact Planet Amusement Park and Resort. Our state-of-art facility offer amazing outdoor rides, playhouses, indoor games, and dining facilities. Thrill your students with a lifetime memorable excursion trip. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real.
Discover the magic, the thrill. Every sight is so close you can feel it. The excitement, the fear. Experience our cinemas at High Impact Planet, the place where fun just got real.
This is Till Tea or Coffee on High Impact Television, and today we're talking about youth participation in community development. We've been talking about the fact that, you know, community development starts with you. It's a process where you have to start by helping the neighbor, your neighbor, yes, helping someone you see on the road and the likes. But now let's talk about things you can actually participate in, or projects or programs you can actually participate in that will aid community development. Talking about HIV/AIDS. You can volunteer to be part of any group or any project that they are carrying out. Yes, social groups to help people understand what HIV is all about, because you will be shocked that so many people do not even understand what it's about, that HIV is different from AIDS. You know, something like that.
Definitely.
Yes.
And
So
it could help eradicate stigmatization also.
yes, eradicate stigmatization. And by doing that, you are helping the community. The community
Definitely.
is developing. Another social group you can also join if you want to help with that.
Basically, health awareness,
Exactly.
joining social groups to, you know, also educate people around you. You don't have to spend money, like I said earlier. You don't have to, you know, go
all out.
all out. Yes,
You
there are
should
little
go all
things.
out,
You
but
should, but you know,
let
there are
people
some
be involved.
people that you don't have to go extra mile as maybe having to
And run into
gather
debt to something.
and run into debt in your own little way. Even word of mouth, just informing someone around you can cause change around your community. Yes, but then we can't do all the talking,
Yes,
like
I
you
know.
always say. You know, we cannot do all the talking alone. Definitely, we have a youth like us. Yeah, a youth like us in the house. He's a program coordinator for Hope Foundation. He is David Ayinde. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome
to the
to
show.
Tea or Coffee.
Thank you. It's nice to be
How
here.
you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Good. Okay, so we've been talking about youth and giving back to the society, community development service. So now, in your own words, how would you describe community development service?
Simply put, community development is a platform in which individuals, members of the society, can give back.
Okay.
Generally not giving back. There are various other ways in which they can give back. We have the social aspect, we have the environmental aspect. You mentioned HIV/AIDS, that falls under health. And then we have humanitarian. In any form, you can actually give back to the community, grow the community, and ensure. That's
So-
what
I'm aware of the fact that you are a program coordinator for a
foundation, yes.
foundation. Yes, so what was the driving force? What made you be part of such a foundation?
First of all, I'm a core driver of discipline.
Okay.
And in order to make a community grow and bloom, there has to be, first of all, discipline. The foundation in which I volunteer with is a driver of that, aside many others. Discipline, leadership, basically a total man. So that was the driving force.
Okay.
Okay, so you I actually need to understand, because a lot of people just feel that volunteering for a foundation takes a whole lot. You have to go through a process. You have to fill some kind of form or registration. So what does it actually take, to volunteer or be a part of a foundation?
Like I would say, the first point to be a volunteer is you realizing that you are available to volunteer.
Okay.
Aside many other platforms, for example, in the country, we have various organizations where you can put in some time. You could spend some time in helping out towards social change, towards community development. Really, in the country, it's very easy. All you just need to do is, I want to volunteer. I have the time, whether it's in the during the weekends or whatsoever. Sometimes we have students who come out fresh from school and then have the opportunity to just give that time before the next phase of their life. So the first point is, I'm available, and then identify. Okay. There are various other organizations. I'm sure you've heard of community impacts, where an individual comes up in a community or in a location, some places in Lagos, and they say, oh, we want to eradicate malaria or look towards working towards malaria. So it's just identifying, that's all. And then when these people see you available, there's no rigor in registration. Okay. It's very easy.
All right. Now, so do you think that aside from the NYSC scheme that we talked about, that we have here in Nigeria,
yes,
they put in place the Community Development Service,
yes,
which is very important as a Youth Corps member.
Yes.
Do you think that youth are involved in community development?
I would say not entirely. We still have the platform where somebody will say, I cannot kill myself for this. Do you get? So it comes back to the point where you need to realize that this is needed. Outside Nigeria, a lot of people are passionate about this. You see disasters happen and people leave their offices without even notice, and then they are running to the disaster sites just to ensure that things are run. But the thing is, when we realize that fact, we are still growing as a country. We are still growing as teenagers. Some of us, I was speaking with someone and he said, most of us are very selfish. So it gets to that point where we come off that point and then realize this, that, oh, just really, community development is not so much of a big deal. It can be taking a child off the street and teaching that child what to do. That's as simple as that. So when we have more enlightenment, I think that's easy.
Okay, so what are the environmental factors that can actually influence, the participation of a youth in community development projects?
Environmental factors. Okay, for example, everywhere we know that we have bad roads in streets. We don't need to, sometimes the government will not even see that. And then a society, a community can decide to come up and say, oh, can we just come together, put money together, even if, like you said initially, it's not basically the finance part. Most especially is the intent. Now, when people say, oh, I want to do this, you'll be surprised that blocks, tarred roads will just come up from nowhere because they have a common cause. It's as simple as going to the backyard and getting broken blocks and then putting it on the road. Now, that's a platform of community development. Environmental, that's the road. Sometimes the gutter is the issue. And the government will not come to go into that. The waste is ours. By the time we own this, we know that we need to make this good. If it's a blockage, if it's sand, just dig it off. Now that's a platform. Malaria will be eradicated if the stagnant water is off. Now, by the time we stop throwing nylon bags or whatsoever into the drainage system, now we've eradicated that, even without announcing to the people in the public. As simple as I own up, this debt has to change. This ideology has to change. Now that's it.
Okay, so you talked about, you mentioned something like awareness, making people know. How do you think the youth can be aware that they actually need to participate in community development?
For example, I'll say this is a very good platform for awareness. Aside that, you mentioned the NYSC scheme.
Yes.
And I remember back then during service, it was lauded. See, give back. This is why you are. See, what's the word? I'm a copper for Nigeria. Exactly. So the stipends are just for you to do. If the stipends are not there, can't you still do it? Now, those things were said over and over and over and over. So if we have those platforms where we have individuals come up on sets, come up on various platforms, in churches, in mosques, wheresoever, and then say, the thing is, we need to understand that this is a problem. A lot of environmental hazards, a lot of educational lapses and all are issues. And we don't need the government to come on air or in a national day and announce community development is important. All we just need is simply say, do you know affecting that same boy at the street is a way of community impact? As simple as that. So there's no need for a concert. There's no need for even basically running around with microphones all around the streets. It starts with one person, and that person glows all over.
You know, I like the way he's reiterating all we've been saying through this week, talking about change starts with you, and you don't have to wait for the government.
Creating positive image, I must say. Okay, you know, I'm not mentioning names. I've actually seen a community development project team that came together to do something. Okay, for you to join and be a volunteer, it wasn't stressful, it wasn't any problem. You just come in, fill a form to get your data and all, and then you're in. And then after people come in, they now start enforcing and making, like once they have a meeting and you do not attend, you'll be fined for so amount. So now I really want to understand what should be the real objectives of, you know, when you want to start a community development project, what should be your goals and your objectives such that it doesn't scare people away even after they get involved?
First off, I'll laugh at that. Second of all, let's look at our family. You don't really need all the education to relate with your members of family. You don't really need to enforce, like there's a chief whip in your house that if you don't do this, you'll be flogged. Maybe that happened when we were little. But right now, to relate with your family, you need, let me put in quotes, subtlety. You have to be subtle. Now, in order to get people to do something for free, they have to enjoy doing it. In order to get people to put their all into a platform, into a cause, they have to be happy doing this. So where you put in the fear factor or the force factor, now you will lose those people. Now, with my little experience with volunteering, it's a hard fight where you need to handle temperaments, where you need to handle people. And if you are not nice to somebody, they will just opt out and they'll say, you caused this. So you don't really need to force people. I would say that's a wrong approach. You don't really need to force people. Just give them the opportunity to express themselves. And you get them to do much.
Okay, now let's move into funding community development projects.
Right.
You have been involved in various projects, I believe.
Yes.
Yes, so how can one get the ideas? Because sometimes it starts with having an idea,
Yes,
wanting
that's
to
the
do
first point.
something. How do you get your ideas funded? How do you get your ideas to people that will be interested, you know? How do you do that?
All right, first off, you said the idea is the most important thing. And then is the idea a worthy cause? That's the first thing I'll ask anybody.
Okay.
Now, by worthy cause, we understand that it has to solve a problem. Like education, for example. The government has tried so much, but still yet, standardization is still, I won't say poor, but it's still getting there. Now, you cannot regulate how I teach as an individual. I am not the government. Now, it starts with me. I have to understand that moving on, understanding what I'm doing, teaching people is my own platform of standardization. Now, my point here is, for you to fund an idea that is a worthy cause, it has to be indeed a worthy cause. It has to solve a problem. Now, that's the first point.
Okay.
There are various platforms for funding a community development project. For example, as little as teaching a child, you might need to buy books, you might need to buy pencils, biros. Now, that can come off your personal pocket. That's one platform. Two, you can seek for funding from organizations. You can seek for funding from banks. Banks have this platform where they call, or we already know, the corporate social responsibility. Now, for some banks, you go to them and say, this project is something I want to do. It's a problem here and all of that. And then they come in to identify with you and say, oh, this is a good cause. It's going to cause a ripple effect towards ensuring that people are okay. For example, malaria. For example, the environmental hazards that we face. So they'll be able to fund you. There's another platform where we have grants. Now, there are international bodies that they are very willing. For example, we have some outside the country in the US, in Europe, that are looking for approaches to come into the country, and they would not have that manpower. So they're looking for communities, they're looking for establishments, they're looking for NGOs, they're looking for organizations that they can partner with. And those are the various platforms. Personal, you can get banks or organizations to partner with you as a CSR platform. And then finally, you can get grants. They're readily available.
Okay, that's actually quite interesting, but we need to go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll still have David Ayinde in the house to talk more on community development service and how youth, can participate in that. Do stay tuned. There's still tea or coffee.
Walking into comfort in a safe environment is every family's dream. At High Impact Planet Resort, our fully furnished service apartment is a home away from home. Amazing views right in your luxurious world. Work out to keep fit for an amazing body at the gym. Get affordable groceries and personal care items at the supermarket. Feel relaxed and beautify yourself at the fully equipped spa. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real.
Nigeria, all over the world, happy Teachers Day. We still cannot talk about today without mentioning the impact of our teachers in our life. Yes, happy Teachers Day to everyone. Yes, watching. It's still Tea or Coffee on High Impact Television. And we've been talking about youth participation in community development service. Of course, we have David Ayinde in the house, still talking about community development and how youth can be, actively involved. Right? Yes. Okay, so do you know why I'm laughing? Because Modupe mentioned something during the break, and I want to ask that question. Right. Now, how necessary and important is community service development? Is this something that will take you to heaven?
Okay.
Like Modupe said during the break.
Just casted me on live TV, but it's fine. But it's actually a valid question.
Yes, actually, it's quite important.
Actually have that question also. So.
I also like to answer with a question. Going to church, does that signify that you go to heaven?
No.
Exactly. So people have various perceptions. People have various aspects in facing this. Now, the most important thing is to know that this is for humanity. Whether you get paid or not, it's for humanity. So I wouldn't say it's to take you to heaven, because really, that's not a criteria to go to heaven.
That's in lighter mode, by the way.
But yes, that's it.
Okay. So how important actually, because youth really need to understand, the key role they can play in changing community, in changing their environment. So how important is community development service to every community?
On a scale of important, very important, most important, and any other thing there, I would say any other thing there.
Okay.
It's very important that we are in this full time. Like I said, or you mentioned earlier, it's not dependent on the finance included. It's as simple as getting a child off the street. It's as simple as giving a child a worthy cause and seeing life better than he is or she is right now. It's very important because we have a lot of people who are facing that problem of being below the bar, maybe economically, maybe emotionally. As simple as mentoring a child is community impact. As simple as, if you see outside the country and in some cases in the country, we have platforms where we have clubs, various clubs where they just talk to teenagers, sometimes most especially ladies or girls, and try to get them off that trauma or rape trauma or whatsoever. Now that's a platform for community development.
Okay.
Okay, so aside having an idea,
Yes.
what are the other things that you must put in place when you want to start a community development project?
Unless it's corporately, you can say you should put up a team that will assist.
Okay, what should your team consist of?
Worthy hands. First of all, where I volunteer with, the foundation I volunteer
Okay.
with, we have a wide base of volunteers. And we have various groups, work streams, like we named them. We have the human resource. We have the funds and partnership. Those ones go all out to just get funds. We have the operations team. We have the logistics team. We have the M&M team. Those are marketing and media and marketing guys. So they work on our PR and all of that. So if you need a worthy cause for a large thing, probably an organization, then you should look at building a team. Even if it's an individual thing. For example, the Community Development Service of the NYSC. You see that there's the president, there's the vice president. All of these people come together, put heads together to make sure that cause is well thought out and carried out properly.
Okay,
So, yes.
going through your profile, I saw something about catching them and inspiring them young,
Okay.
like city camp that you put in place. Now,
Yes.
what are the activities, you think that you can put in place to get youth
To actually
involved?
catch them young.
Catch them young and get them involved. And aside getting youth involved also, because we cannot talk about community without the people
Yes.
in the community.
They're from the
Now,
community.
how do you, help youth come together and make them understand the change they can cause to their community, and how do you develop the initiative, they could probably have?
So it starts with the idea again. We identified, I'll get back to city like you mentioned.
Okay.
We identified that the younger generation are growing on a different scale. They're growing on information picked up from media, wrong information sometimes from the internet and all of this. And so that came up with the idea of inspiring them at this point with the kind of upbringing some of us had. Now the world is fast growing. Parents are no longer available for their children. So what better way to identify this and cover that gap? We say they are the leaders of tomorrow, but when today they are not acting like that, they won't just automatically become leaders tomorrow. So that came up, that brought the idea, catch and inspire them young. Get them while they are still in their formative years. It's just like a child. Going through research, we found that if you don't correct a baby from 0 to 4, it becomes a character. Now, if you don't form that child at that point, now we can't start by then. It's very hard to communicate with them, but mothers know how to do this. Oh, stop that. And as little as chastising that child and saying, this is not right, it keeps forming that, oh, this is not right, I shouldn't do this. So it gets to that point where they become teenagers or teens. And then we have to make sure that these ones, even if they've picked up the wrong notions, we need to reframe it. I used to call it, we need to brainwash them of the negative impact of the information they've gotten. Now, Catch and Inspire Them Young is a platform where it's a camp. Where it's not just a camp, actually. We have various other platforms.
Okay.
But we have one which is a camp, a summer camp. It's a leadership summer camp. Aside just leadership, because the idea is a leader is a total man. He has he has to have command of his emotions. He has to have command of his spending. He has to have command of the way he treats people. All of these things. So it's a total package. It's not just focused on leadership.
Okay.
Now, it's a platform where we focus on discipline. You cannot just say you're a leader of tomorrow and you're not disciplined. For example, you just get to do things out of the blues or out of impulse. Imagine you are accountable to a whole community and you wake up in the morning because your wife gave you tea and you just give everybody money on the streets. Or you woke up and she gave you rocks and then you just kill everybody on the streets. Now, a leader is a disciplined man. I must do this. There are ways to do this, and there are people I'm accountable to.
Okay.
So catching them young is the best platform to grow a leader. Now, they say we've been told we're the leaders of tomorrow, right from where we're there. It has come to today, and we're still working towards being the leader of tomorrow. So why not keep up that line and keep training these ones? These ones are exposed to, I was speaking with some 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, and the information they were exuding was more than me.
No, it's true,
Yeah,
because I
definitely.
always talk about the fact that the youth we have today, children that we have today, are
Exactly.
very smart.
Very, very
You
smart.
see a 2-year-old and what he or she is
Would be
saying
saying.
would amaze you.
Very well.
You know.
So they're exposed to a lot of things, and so we need to make sure that we put them in a proper position.
Position.
Yes.
Okay, I'm curious. Can one use social media to drive community development?
Yes,
How?
you can. For example, SDGs, for example. We don't basically need to be on the street to educate a child. Sometimes, to teach a child morals, you know that they're everywhere online, so just put it in their face.
Okay.
Some of these teenagers spend all of their free time on social media. So what better way to just put it all over their faces? Aside social media, we still have the media. We still have TV, we still have radios. They are still there. They are still plugged in 24/7. My cousins will be on the TV immediately after school till it's time to, have you done your assignment? And then they run. So imagine that. So put it out there. Education, poverty, sex, all of these things need to be put all over and in front of their faces.
Okay, you talked about catching them young. Now, is
Yes.
there an age bracket or age limit, to how you can contribute to community development service?
Are you talking about the recipients or those that are the recipes?
Participants.
The participants.
Volunteers.
Now, the volunteers,
Yes.
okay. There's really no age bracket.
Okay.
Currently, we have alumnuses of the city programs. To be an alumni, you have to have gone through the program, even if it's just once, but there's an age bracket or an age bracket. That's about 18 years. So once you cross 18, you're already a man or a woman. So the idea is if you want to come back into the program or you want to be the one to give back to those ones, yes, why not? So there's really no age bracket saying it's a teenager or an adult. Anybody can actually volunteer. Anybody can actually work towards community impact.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to start I have an idea.
Okay.
And I want to start a community development project. What are the challenges that I might face? Because I know you have been into it. Yes. So what are the challenges that one can face?
There are lots of challenges.
Okay.
We have the resource challenge, finance and human. Now, those are the two major challenges that we face. One is finance now. As easy as it can be, or as easy as said, the finance is not just there. You have to dig deep. It's just like finding gold. For example, we have a major project that is going to be, let's say for example, Makoko.
Okay.
Now, that's a major project. A lot of things are not so right there. You can't just go there and pack everybody in a lorry and take them away from there because there's really no place to put them.
Okay.
Two, we can't build structures. That's a heavy project. So that's the number one thing. So that cripples a lot of brilliant ideas. Two, the resource. Yes, people are available, but people have diverse ideologies towards this. Some people are there just to show the world that they are doing something.
They're doing something.
Some people are there just to
don't have the right
pride
motive.
it. Yes, exactly. The right motive is not there. Now, there are still a lot of people that are there for the long haul. They are there to see that Nigeria must be better. They are there to see that Africa will grow. So there are very other platforms. So those are the major challenges that we face. Finance and human.
resource.
Okay.
Sorry. Now, we've talked about the challenges. Let's talk about solutions to these challenges, to these problems. How do you think these challenges can be solved?
I think for the finance, it's a difficult catch. But by the time we reach out to more people who are willing to even commit their own finances, first off, we have a platform in my organization where I volunteer with, where we have volunteers give towards projects. We can decide to say, we have a book drive. We currently have a book drive. And, hey, do you have books? We necessarily do not need to buy them, but if you want to buy, why not? These are the kind of books we need to give back to a community. We're going to an orphanage, actually. And that platform is a way to get finance sorted out. Now, the organization doesn't need to have 200,000 somewhere to give when 200,000 for the books are covered by individuals across board. 2, human. Most of the time when volunteers come in, you just need to, it's just like an organization, you need to train them. Now, by the time you train them and enlighten them that, yes, I'm sure when you started, you wanted to just enjoy yourself. Sometimes our city summer camp is a time to enjoy. We camp for 10 days and people just come to just have fun. But still, yet we still tell them, we are here for a cause. We are here to make sure that these lives are guided. We are here to preserve, like I always say humorously, this is the harvest, let's preserve it. And then that goes a long way to reform some people say, oh, we need to do this. So that's the solution to 2 of these problems.
Okay. So here's solution to that problem. First year on High Impact Live.
Definitely. Okay, now, you mentioned earlier that you've heard, I have also heard people say things like, I cannot come and kill myself. Even me, I myself personally, I need help. I need assistance. So
Exactly.
I cannot start, overworking myself out on something. Now, how can you motivate youth? How can you promote the importance of, contributing and giving back to the society?
Most times, it's an approach I've used individually, personally.
And has it worked?
It works.
Okay, so let's hear
It's the sentimental part of it.
Okay.
Now, when you recount, sometimes we just sit back and get clips. They're everywhere online. And they just get people to see why community impact is important. And why you get people to see why there's a necessity to do this. The last city camp we had, we played a video where there was this Indian young boy who was coming back from school, and then there was a big tree on the road. And then policemen were somewhere there calling a bulldozer or calling somebody to come take it off. And then this small chap, very tiny, trying to pick up, let's liken that tree to a heavy building. And then he went there and tried to push it, and tried to push. And then other kids saw him and, oh, this is a platform to come and have fun. That was the idea. And then when they came in, it started raining. And then adults said, if these children can be doing this, why not join them? Now, that's a sentimental value to get people to see, oh, this is an important thing. And believe you me, they were able to take that tree out without a bulldozer coming in. Now, that's a way to get people to see that this is necessary. Aside that, still with sentimental values, imagine I have a younger brother who is suffering from Down syndrome, and the community doesn't accept this child. I'm sure we've seen movies, yes, most of the time, because that's the best way to actually recount this. We've seen movies where people with Down syndrome come out to be very influential people in the world because of the problems they faced, and they just kept themselves in one platform and focused on providing solution to something. So imagine in a country where we stigmatize these people. Now, it's as simple as we can accept this person. That's the platform. That's the social awareness that we need. We can accept these people. We can change the world through this. So you don't need to jump a mountain or jump over a mountain. All you just need to do is start with, I can do this. I don't need to die, or I don't need to come and kill myself. I can do this with ease and without stressing it.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, interesting.
We've actually had some 2 episodes where we talked about an all-inclusive society. That's for cerebral palsy and the deaf and the likes of them. I'm telling you, it's amazing how you see people just stigmatize, and you're wondering, these people are part of us, they're part of our society. We should accept them and treat them equally the way we treat ourselves. Okay, now I was talking about platforms in which you can get involved in to drive community development, and you mentioned health, talking about HIV. Can you give us other platforms in which we want, because I'm sure someone is asking, okay, I want to be part of community development, what platform can I join, how can I start? So
if you've already mentioned health, where people can come in to assist for health hazards and the rest. We have humanitarian. Now that's where we can go to orphanages, help out, donate stuffs. We can go to old people's homes. We can pick beggars off the street and take care of them. That's humanitarian. We have education. Now, we have some people who go to secondary schools just to help out because the teachers are not adequate. Not like adequate in terms of capacity, adequate in terms of number. And where you get a classroom of over 200 people and you expect one person to take this. So it's another platform where young teenagers, youths can come up and say, oh, maybe with my free time, I go to schools to assist in teaching. Now, we have some boarding schools, or maybe the government doesn't have boarding schools because we face this challenge actually with the government schools in the country. Now, we have platforms where we can have teenagers come over, we can have youths come over, we can have old people come over to just teach, show these people love. They have free times, they have break times, come together and say, hey, can we teach you? Do you think we need your help? Or do you think you need our help? And all that stuff. Now, that's education. We also have environmental. Now, it's still, if we do not control the environmental hazards, then people fall sick, then we'll go back to health. If we do not control the environmental hazards, then people get diseases. You see a gutter filling over and then coming off the entire slab and then coming on the road, and you have children barefooted walking all through, going to their homes, stepping on their beds, and woof, viruses everywhere. Now we can have people come in, clean the gutter, as simple as that. You don't need money to clean the gutter. All you just need is a shovel and people. Now, those are various platforms in which I categorize them in 4 places. So the health, humanitarian, social, and environmental. There are many places. You just open your eyes and you see a challenge and you walk towards it. That's just it.
All right. You've been into several projects
Yes.
where you have to touch lives and, create positive impact on people around you and in the society. Now, so far, what are the changes you have seen within your community or other communities or society whereby community development services is quite effective? So what are the changes and the benefits you've seen that has affected the lives of people in that community?
Okay, I'll go through the 4 categories again.
Okay.
For education, you would see people who don't have access to proper education coming off that platform and becoming better. We've seen a platform, basically not directly, I've heard the story, of a child that was, okay, let me go back to Ben Carson's story. Now, his mother used, let's assume it's a motherly love, but that's the platform of community development. She said, you can be this, working on his ideology, working on his education. You can do this, you are better, you are this, you are that. That's as simple as it is. Picking a child and saying, you can do this, you can read more. Okay, this is how to read. And Bekansi became the best neurosurgeonist till date. For example, we have other platforms where we could have to help people, teach them, and get them to understand that this gutter is dirty, why not clean it up? Health hazards are minimal, even if it's not totally expunged. We have where companies, banks come together and then bring up a, what's it called, skill acquisition platform. And then they train, most especially the guys on the street, they train all the ladies that are just everywhere, all around. And then this person comes out with skill, open up a tailoring shop, opens up a barber shop, and they wouldn't want to go back to where they're coming from. Now that's a platform. And that's how positive this has been. We have people who have been educated, now talking of health. Oh, HIV and AIDS is real. We've been seeing it everywhere. That's a platform for community development. The government has plunged into it. Individuals have done this as well. So those are various platforms. We know that we can see that the way HIV was initially everywhere is no longer where it is, even if it's not totally eradicated.
All right. So just because our time is fast spent, I want you to give us a sentence as short as it can be. Or, I want you to advise the youth out there on how to get involved in community development. What words will you give the youth out there?
Find a need. Get a team or be individual in this and affect lives. That's just it.
Thank you. Okay, that's very short.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we've learned a lot actually.
Definitely.
And now I am supercharged to get more involved. Not like I've not been involved. I have been involved in community development programs, and I want to actually do more because it will change a lot of lives.
Yes, because even sitting here and, educating and telling someone out there about this,
it's part of community development
service. But you still have to do more.
All right, just because we have learned a lot
All right.
And we appreciate the fact that you came on the show today.
All right. Thank
Yes, thank you
Thank
so
you so
much
much.
Thank
for
you so
coming
much.
to Tea or Coffee today.
The pleasure is mine,
and
actually.
securing the future, because that's one thing that we are
Exactly.
our key
Word.
yes, our key, it's not a word, it's a
Okay,
sentence.
phrase. Sentence, yeah.
All right, thank you viewers out there from Nigeria, all over the world, for watching Tea or Coffee today. And I do hope you've been enlightened on how important community development service is as a youth. And it's on these notes that we have to wrap up the show. My name remains Modupe Jacobs.
And I am Uraola Popola.
Enjoy
Have a
your
lovely
day.
weekend.